Tonight, another key city in Iraq falls into the hands of ISIS.
I support the beginning of a phased redeployment out of Baghdad and eventually out of Iraq completely.
I am going to bring an end to this war in Iraq.
Have President Obama and Hillary Clinton betrayed America's fallen heroes by pulling out of this country too soon?
Those donations were a matter of public record.
And George Stephanopoulos apologizes yet again for not coming clean about his Clinton donations.
I should have made additional disclosures on air when we covered the foundation.
Clinton Cash author Peter Schweitzer is here to explain how deep the ABC News anchor's ties to the Clintons really go.
Shots were fired by rival biker gang members.
Plus, bullets fly during an out-of-control biker brawl in Waco, Texas.
We had people stabbed, we had people shot, and we had people beat.
We have the latest details on the rival motorcycle gang shootout. Plus, reaction to a damning new report that reveals Jay-Z has been posting bail for anti-police protesters. Hannity starts right here, right now. Welcome to Hannity Tonight. President Obama and Hillary Clinton are responsible for the biggest betrayal of American troops since Vietnam. The efforts of American soldiers who made the ultimate sacrifice to liberate Iraq has now been squandered. ISIS is now in control of the key city of Ramadi after a bloody conflict over the weekend. Now, this is not a coincidence or a foreign policy miscalculation. This is a deliberate political move. But it didn't have to be this way. Remember, President Bush took a huge political risk by announcing the surge in 2007, but it ultimately led to victory in Iraq.
The new strategy I outlined tonight will change America's course in Iraq and help us succeed in the fight against terror. We will increase the embedding of American advisors in Iraqi Army units and partner a coalition brigade with every Iraqi Army division. The changes I've outlined tonight are aimed at ensuring the survival of a young democracy that is fighting for its life in a part of the world of enormous importance to American security.
Now, of course, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, they opposed the surge.
I do not think that this strategy has a very high level of success at all attached to it. In fact, I think that at best it's a holding pattern. I support the beginning of a phased redeployment out of Baghdad and eventually out of Iraq completely.
There's no military solution to this. We've got to have a political solution, begin a phased withdrawal, and make certain that we've got benchmarks in place so that the Iraqi people can make a determination about how they want to move forward.
Now, Obama and Clinton, they could have cared less about the troops in harm's way. They were playing politics. They politicized this war. Obama then went a step further and made it a key campaign promise to get out of Iraq.
I am going to bring an end to this war in Iraq.
Let me be as clear as I can be. I intend to end this war.
We can't wait to bring an end to the war that is wasting our tax dollars. We can't wait.
And after getting elected, Obama dismantled all the progress that American troops had made in Iraq by pulling those troops out too early. He thought this was a great thing.
After taking office, I announced a new strategy that would end our combat mission in Iraq and remove all of our troops by the end of 2011. Today, I can report that, as promised, the rest of our troops in Iraq will come home by the end of the year. After nearly 9 years, America's war in Iraq will be over.
4 years ago, I promised to end the war in Iraq. We did.
Again, all of this could have been avoided if Obama and Clinton had simply listened to the admonition, the warning of President George W. Bush that he made in 2007. Watch how correct he was.
Begin withdrawing before our commanders tell us we are ready would be dangerous for Iraq, for the region, and for the United States. It would mean surrendering the future of Iraq to al-Qaeda. It'd mean that we'd be risking mass killings on a horrific scale. It would mean we'd allow the terrorists to establish a safe haven in Iraq to replace the one they lost in Afghanistan. It would mean increasing the probability that American troops would have to return at some later date to confront an enemy that is even more dangerous.
Well, ISIS has their safe haven. Now we have chaos in Iraq. ISIS now free reign in the entire region. Key cities that were under full control under Bush, like Mosul and Fallujah and now Ramadi, have now been handed over to ISIS and radical jihadists. Tonight, it's time for Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton to apologize to the families of the 4,478 soldiers who were killed in Iraq and to the over 32,000 who were wounded while fighting there. Here with reaction tonight, our foreign and domestic author, Brigadier General Tony Tata, Fox News contributor Joe Trippi, and author of Undemocratic: How Unelected, Unaccountable Bureaucrats Are Stealing Your Liberty and Your Freedom. Jay Sekulow is with us. General Tata, let's start with you. I make the case that, all right, Hillary Clinton voted for the war. She wanted to run for president in 2007. She politicized the war and ended up doing exactly what Bush said would happen, pulling out too early, not providing intelligence, not providing training for these troops, and now ISIS has greater control over large portions of that country. How big a mistake was that?
You know, Sean, Ramadi is the best symbol of the surge because it's where the Sunni uprising began. It's where the hardest fighting was for the Marines and the special forces there. And when you think about the tactical defeat of the Iraqi army, it's huge. Defeating the will of the Iraqi army in Ramadi, and then on an operational level, being able to have those lines of communication back to Syria and Jordan, that is the key logistical hub for a sustained campaign against Baghdad, and that's what ISIS is doing right now.
I want to ask Joe Trippi. 4,478 Americans died there. And Hillary voted for that, Joe. 32,000 injured. Then she wants to be president. Democrats politicize the war, and lo and behold, we pull out. Now ISIS is in there. What do you want to say to the families of those families that lost loved ones or have injured loved ones?
No, our troops and those families deserve a debt of gratitude.
But they died fighting for Mosul, Ramadi, and Fallujah.
Yes, they did. And they deserve that credit. They deserve that debt of gratitude. And Obama handed it back to them. No matter which mistakes. No matter which mistakes George Bush or Barack Obama have made, those families deserve our love,
he pulled out too early because he wanted to make a political point here at home. What do you say?
It's exactly right. And Joe's trying to put the politics on it, but let's talk about the reality. What did the president fail to get? A status of force agreement. That would have prevented ISIS. That's just the way it is. But the reality is the president has a political agenda. He has a narrative. And what's happened with ISIS and what's happened in Iraq goes against his narrative. And that's the real problem here.
Let's talk about the real reality. The real reality was a guy ran for president of the United States in 2008 saying to this country that he was going to remove our troops and end the war there. And the country, in a vast majority, elected him commander-in-chief and president of the United States. And then he did what he told us he was going to do.
If we don't have the will...
That's what he did. And by the way, that's why those troops were fighting there, so that we could vote and he could do that.
Joe, if we're going to now start wars, and we're not going to finish them, and we're not going to have victory, I'll give you another example. John Kerry comes back from Vietnam. This is what he said. We politicized that war. We lost 58,000 Americans. Watch this.
They had personally raped, cut off ears, cut off heads, taped wires from portable telephones to human genitals and turned up the power, cut off limbs, blown up bodies, randomly shot at civilians, razed villages in a fashion reminiscent of Genghis Khan.
Yeah, Genghis Khan. All right. Here's the deal. I'm going to put up a map, Joe. Take a look at this map. If you look, the territories marked red, held by ISIS in Iraq and Syria. You see that? That's because we pulled out early. And if we're going to ask nearly 5,000 Americans to die in Iraq and nearly 58,000 to die in Vietnam, maybe we've got to dedicate ourselves to something called victory so they don't die.
Maybe
only to give the
Iraqi
enemy back territory.
And the Shia militias should stand up and fight.
That's we didn't give them we never gave them a chance to stand up and fight because we wouldn't get a status of force agreement that would have given them the backbone and the military. No, the president, Joe, the president had a narrative. The narrative was, I'm getting you out of Iraq no matter what the cost. You know what the cost is today? Ramadi.
And
That's the cost.
Ramadi, Mosul, and Fallujah.
Maliki had nothing to do with no status of forces agreement.
to Joe.
Maliki had absolutely nothing to do with it.
Let me
It
go
was
to
all
Joe
Obama's
Biden.
fault.
We keep asking Republican candidates about Iraq. Was it a mistake? In retrospect, knowing what we know now. All right, here's what Joe Biden said in 2010 about Iraq being one of the administration's greatest achievements. In retrospect, is this right? Watch him.
Very optimistic about Iraq. I think it's going to be one of the great achievements of this administration. You're going to see 90,000 American troops come marching home by the end of the summer. You're going to see a stable government in Iraq that is actually moving toward a representative government.
General, how do we ask Americans to go fight and win territory and win wars only to hand it back because of these idiots in Washington that politicize war? Who would want to fight anymore, considering we've now done this twice to our brave vets?
Sean, thankfully, we've got a dedicated volunteer force that is able to do things such as the raid to kill or capture Abu Sayyaf in Syria, and that is a very significant victory for our forces.
How would you feel if your son died in Ramadi, Mosul, or Fallujah? Today, how would you feel today?
Sean, I've been on one knee handing the flag to widows and mothers and fathers, so I understand very fully the
I know you do,
commitment
but what do we
and
say
the opportunity that was lost. And I've grieved for every soldier that I've lost and every soldier that has been lost, Marine, Airmen, and seamen and so forth.
The problem is, General, we failed them. We failed the very families that you were out giving that flag to, that you were leading. We've failed them, and we've got basically a State Department and a Department of Defense that's run by bureaucrats that's controlling this, and the president's narrative just happens to be in lockstep.
It's sad.
But my point is that we have an opportunity. We have just killed the main financier of this war, and don't underestimate that the Hawala system of money by getting after him. That is a huge victory strategically for us.
All right, we got to go. By the way, Jay's new book, Undemocratic, I read it. It's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being with us. Coming up next tonight here on Hannity.
I should have gone the extra mile to avoid even the appearance of a conflict. I apologize to all of you for failing to do that.
All right, Stephanopoulos apologizes yet again for failing to disclose. He donated tens of thousands of dollars to the Clinton Foundation. But up next, Clinton Cash author Peter Schweitzer, he's in studio to reveal how ABC and their chief anchor, how close he is to Bill and Hillary and what he didn't reveal in that apology. And then later, 9 were killed, a startling 192 arrested after 2 rival biker gangs brawled in Texas last night. Police say this all could have been avoided. You'll hear from a man who went undercover inside some of these motorcycle gangs to describe life there, and for his own safety, we will hide his identity. That's coming up straight ahead.